on the middle way. 400 verses, root text. Chapter 14. 326. If a thing did not depend on anything else at all, it would be self-established. But such a thing exists nowhere. 327. The form is a pot, they are not one. The pot that has form is not separate. The pot does not have form. Nor does the form have a pot. 328. Since the two are seen to have dissimilar characteristics, if the pot is separate from existence, why would existence not also be separate from the pot? 329. If one is not accepted as the pot also is not one. Moreover, possession is not reciprocal. Therefore also it is not one.
330. If the form is the size of the substance, why is the form not large? If the opponent were not different, scriptural sources could be cited. 331. By virtue of its characteristic, the characterized does not exist. Such a thing has no existence. As something different from number and so forth. 332. Because the pot is not separate from its characteristics, it is not one. If there is not a pot for each, plurality is not feasible. 333. The tangible and the intangible cannot be said to coalesce. Thus it is in no way feasible for these forms to coalesce. 334. Form is a component of the pot, and thus, for a start, is not the pot. Since the compound does not exist, neither do the components.
335. If the definition of form applies without incongruity to all forms, for what reason is one a pot and not all others? 336. If you assert form is distinct from taste and so forth but not from the pot, how can that which does not exist without these not be distinct from form? 337. The pot has no causes and is itself not an effect. Thus there is no pot at all, apart from form and so forth. 338. If the pot exists by virtue of its causes, and those causes by virtue of others, how can that which does not exist by virtue of itself produce something disparate? 339. Though they meet and come together, form cannot be smell. Therefore, like the pot, the composite cannot be one.
340. Just as the pot does not exist apart from form and so forth, likewise form does not exist apart from air and so forth. 341. That which is hot is fire, but how can that burn which is not hot? Thus so-called fuel does not exist, and without it fire too does not. 342. Even if it is hot only when overpowered, why is it not fire? Yet if not hot, to say fire contains something else is not plausible. 343. If the particle has no fuel, fire without fuel exists. If even it has fuel, a single-natured particle does not exist. 344. When different things are examined, none of them have singleness. Because there is no singleness, there is no plurality either. 345. Though they assert that where there are none of those things there is singleness, singleness does not exist, since everything is threefold. 346. The approach of existence, non-existence, both existence and non-existence, and neither, should always be applied by those with mastery to oneness and so forth.
347. When the continuum is misapprehended, things are said to be permanent. Similarly, when composites are misapprehended, things are said to exist. 348. Anything that has dependent arising is not independent. All these are not independent. Therefore there is no self. 349. Things do not assemble unless there is an effect. Aggregation for an effect is not included for the exalted. 350. The awareness that is the seed of existence has objects as its sphere of activity. When selflessness is seen in objects, the seed of existence is destroyed.